The absolutely mysterious Chinese book of wisdom called Tao Te Ching starts highly engaging because directly in its first chapter it explains the whole universe, the meaning of life, and basically everything you need to know about the world. Today, in this video, we'll thoroughly examine only the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching. We will understand what we can practically learn from it, because I am convinced that especially in today's world, some advices from the Taoist philosophy can be highly useful. The first chapter starts with the following words. The meaning that can be expressed is not the eternal meaning. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Those are mysterious, right? Let's have a closer look at what they mean. In order to understand it better, I made a slightly adjusted own translation, based on a compilation of the English translation by Paul Lin, the German translation, which is my favorite, by Richard Wilhelm, as well as the Russian translation by Malyavin. So let's take a look at the first phrase again. The meaning that can be expressed is not the eternal meaning. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. In a certain way, this first phrase lays the groundwork with which we must understand all the following chapters of the Tao Te Ching. It teaches us how to perceive the words by themselves. First of all, Lao Tzu, he presumably wrote the Tao Te Ching, makes clear that not everything can be expressed through language and concrete ideas. It means that language by itself can sometimes be a barrier to understand the deeper ideas of Taoism. He warns us that we shouldn't try to rationally comprehend our being and surroundings. That could be classified as mysticism. By the way, even in Christianity, there are mystical schools of thought, popular especially in the Eastern Orthodox churches. But that's a topic for a different video. But please do make sure to let me know if you would be interested in such an exploration. Anyway, the idea of those two sentences is to come back or to return to a state of mind in which we are not trying to rationally comprehend all of our being and surroundings. That way we can appreciate nature more, something that has the Chinese character of Tao, which can be roughly translated as the way. The paradox, which is often present in the philosophy of Taoism, is that by not trying to rationally comprehend, we somehow end up actually understanding everything. Perhaps you will have noticed moments in life that become much clearer when not thinking about them, as opposed to rationally trying to comprehend them as best as possible. I would even add that rationally trying to understand everything will rather lead to insanity. In a way, the most rational thing to do is not to be so rational. There you go, another paradox. So let's go on. The first chapter continues with the following words. The state of not being is the beginning of heaven and earth. To be is the mother of every being. Again, those words are incredibly difficult to grasp. What does it mean? The essence of those words is quite obvious. Before being or existing, we didn't exist. Thus, this is the beginning of every individual being and the heaven and earth. However, when we are or exist, we have been born akin to a mother giving birth to a child. One can interpret the beginning of everything to be the Word, similar to the Bible, where in the beginning there was the Word. Thanks to Taoism, we thus get a very different perspective on the matter. However, what sets the Taoist philosophy apart is the fact that this state of being and non-being is united, which is basically the secret to the whole world. We can tap into this potential by not being, in a sense. In a practical sense, this means not to think too much and not to be too occupied with oneself. Then the whole world suddenly opens up for us and we can grasp its mysteries. In fact, this is exactly what is written in the following lines of the first chapter of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. If you strive in the direction of not being, then you are able to perceive the wonders of our existence. If you concentrate on your own existence, then you only perceive the limitations of our being. That's a paradox again, but at this point we have gotten so far as to be able to understand it a little bit better. If a person is constantly occupied with themselves, they just perceive the limits of their being. Oftentimes that leads to existential unhappiness. However, if we act as if we don't really exist, meaning not to concentrate too much on oneself, and are able to open up to one's surroundings with the eyes of one's heart and soul, then we are able to perceive the beauty and wonders of our existence. Like I hinted at before, the actual groundwork and meaning of our existence is the unity between this state of being and not being. It means that it acknowledges that we humans have a certain egocentricity to our being by nature, but the balance with nature and the perception of the beautiful things around us is our goal. We are left in a position in which we can constantly and very much consciously choose to strive for something higher, in which we can see a reflection of eternity. And the mystery of the aforementioned unity is the door through which all the wonders enter our world. Again, that's literally what's written in the first chapter. The mysteries left in the rest of the chapters of this book, and keep in mind, there are 81 of them, all rely on this exact first chapter to be thoroughly understood. In a future video, we will be taking a deeper look at the next chapters and explore the fantastic depth of the Taoist philosophy.